here are my predictions for UFC Alive on Versus 5. I'm going to start with the main event. We've got Dan Hardy and Chris Lytle. Now, both of these are boxers, and Dan Hardy recently hasn't had such a good run of things. I think largely because he's come up against better boxers, I hate to say it, like Carlos Condit, for example. It's unfortunate because he is nearing the end of his rope in terms of keeping his contract. And what's distressing to me is that he's always been one of the better British role models in the company, likely to get the boot if he doesn't do well here. The good news is that although Lytle is really known to be a stand-up fighter as well, I think that in terms of the calibers he's faced, he stands much better chance against Lytle than anyone else. So I'm going to go for him. I'll go for a Dan Hardy decision there. Now I'm going to start from the bottom of the card, I think. Edwin Figueiredo and Jason Reinhart. Jason Reinhart 20-2. He's come off a loss. Now he's back after having been cut. He was around once for one match lost. This is his return, and I think they're going to want to keep him because they're feeding him Edwin Figueiredo, who's only 7-1, and he's already lost in his debut. So this may be viewed from the institution as a little bit of a squash match. I don't mind about that because I like Jason Reinhart. So there we are. I'll go for Jason Reinhart. I'll go for bar submission in the second. Next one is Jacob Volkmann, and he is fighting Danny Costello. Danny Costello 13-3 is from a good camp, alpha male, the likes of which have spawned Uriah Faber. He's also faced much better competition, I think, than Jacob Volkmann, who's not bad with only 12-2. I'm going to go with Danny Costello. I shall go for a TKO in the third. Cole Miller versus TJ O'Brien. I think I was going to say that I thought they were evenly matched, but I don't know too much about TJ O'Brien. Cole Miller I have in fact met at the UFC 120 Fan Expo. I'm going to go for him. I shall go for bar submission in the third there. Next one, Alex Caceres and Jimmy Hetz. Jimmy Hetz, perfect record of 8, all of which are submissions, known for his jiu-jitsu, but not so well known, I don't think, in the UFC sort of circles. Alex Caceres is known very well as being the sort of loud, mouthy chap on one of the recent toughs that didn't win, wasn't invited to the finale, appeared on another card and lost. So why the hell he's back, I don't know. I think just because he will talk smack, but also because I think they're pretty confident that he will lose. He lost to Mackin Semizizer at UFC UFN 24 by RNC. I think I'm going to predict more or less the same. I'll go for RNC in the first. Here's hoping he puts up a little bit of a struggle because it's always better that way. Moving on, Carlos Vermola and Ronnie Marks. Good luck if you looked up Ronnie Marks in Sherdog, because Ronnie Marks is in fact the nickname of a guy who has a whole sentence for his name, but he's not the same guy who has the whole sentence for his name that we've spoke of before. Anyway, he's on 11-1, and Carlos Vermola, who has never been finished, is on 8-1. The only claim to fame that I can see that this Marquez guy has got is a win by decision over Paulo Filho, possibly not in his prime. Because of that, I'm going to go for Carlos Vermola, and I shall go for TKO in the second. Ed Herman is fighting Kyle Noke. Ed Herman 21-9. 13 of his wins are by submission. Kyle Noke 19-4 also likes to win by submission, and he's on a 5-fight win streak. Ed Herman was out during 2010 for his knee injury. He has fought again since, one fight this year, which he won, I believe. But his record is still a bit wobbly. Loss, win, loss, win. I think the safest bet is still Ed Herman, but I am not going to go for Ed Herman. I'm actually going to go out on a limb and say Kyle Noke. But I'm going to say decision. Hopefully this will be a submission fest. So there we are. Joseph Benavidez is fighting Eddie Wineland. This will possibly be fight of the night. 14-2 for Joseph Benavidez, who is good with submissions and has never been finished. He also is spawned from Team Alpha Male. He is big in WEC. Eddie Wineland, very exciting. You know, he's coming off a loss to Uriah Faber, but he really impressed me with that loss. He's 18-7, likes TKOs and submissions. I suggest he stays standing for this one. I don't know who to choose on this one at all. I really don't know who to choose on this one. If he fights like he did for Uriah Faber against Joseph Benavidez, I could see him winning. If he doesn't, he won't. So I don't know who to choose on that one. I think I'll say a draw. CB Dollaway is fighting against Jared Hamman. Jared Hamman likes TKOs, he's never been subbed. CB Dollaway, 11-3, is coming off a loss. Who do I think will win? I'll go for CB Dollaway there. I'll go for a decision victory. Amir Sadola and Dwayne Ludwig. Amir Sadola, of course, one of the guys from Tough Who, entered with almost a 0 record, and still has almost a 0 record. In fact, it's very, very low, but he has this extraordinary knack of winning against really high-powered UFC fighters with very long records. You know, Dwayne Ludwig is the sort of person who is extremely good at submissions, but incredibly good at stand-up as well. Can finish by either, and yet I still think, and I don't have a clue how he could possibly win this one, but I'm still going to go for Amir Sadola. I might go for decision. This one could be an interesting fight as well. Could be interesting, could be fight of the night, this one as well. So there we are. Charles Oliveira is fighting Donald Cerrone. Oliveira, 14-1, likes to win by TKO and submission. Need to watch him, because he is the guy who choked out Nick Lentz via illegal knees. Thankfully that was overturned, so Sherdog tell me. I don't think he'll get away with the same sort of thing with Donald Cerrone, who's maybe a little bit more practiced, but watch for the illegal knees with him. Donald Cerrone, from the Jackson camp. He is on a 4-fight win streak. 15-3 is his record. 12 of those are submission victories. He is the Jackson's camp wrestler that is not boring. Yes, there is a Jackson's camp wrestler which is not boring, and he is the guy. I'm going to go for a submission win. I shall go for choke submission in the third here, for Donald winning. Let me just turn my page for the last fight, which is Jim Miller and Benson Henderson. Benson Henderson, you will remember, is the guy who was on course for a title in WEC. And he is at 13-3. Sorry, I've lost my plot. What were we talking about? Oh yes, Benson Henderson. He is probably most well known now for receiving the Showtime kick from Anthony Pettis. He is fighting Jim Miller. Now, Benson Henderson likes submissions. His record is 13-2, but Jim Miller has a record of 20-2. He likes submissions. 11 of his 20 are, and he has never been finished. He's on a 7-fight win streak, and one of the people during that win streak that he has submitted is Dwayne Ludwig. So Benson Henderson may be alright on the feet, but I don't think that's going to be enough. I'm actually going to go for Jim Miller here, and I shall go for a choke submission in the third. And those are my predictions.